For a long time, we've had to manage two completely separate animation systems, one for first person and another for third person. That meant separate character models, weapons, rigs, and a lot of duplicated setups including animations, and that still didn't always look good from both perspectives. So now, I've decided to replace the entire system. We will no longer use a separate first-person model, but rather only one system for the player. New animations will now be created to look okay in both first-person and third-person perspectives. Previously, the first-person system used a separate model attached directly to the camera. Every frame, it copied parameters from the actual player and tried to make the first-person model match what the character was doing. But the two systems were built very differently. The first-person model used one generic rig for every weapon, while the third-person character used a humanoid rig. Because the rigs and models were different, sharing animations between them was difficult, and in many cases, it just wasn't practical. Most of the third-person animations were also recycled across different weapons, while the first-person side needed its own models, animations, and setup. The system worked, but what the local players saw and what everybody else saw were basically being created by two different pipelines. The biggest problem was animation sharing. If I wanted high-quality animations in both first and third person, I'd effectively have to create, adapt, and maintain every animation twice. Each weapon also needed a separate first-person skin mesh, including its own blend shapes. Some of these meshes were fairly large, so every new weapon added even more to the game's disk size. Then there was all the setup. The first-person character and weapons needed their own models, rigs, animations, and configuration. And even after doing all that work, some movements still didn't look very good, especially going prone and crawling. Basically, every new weapon became much more expensive to add than it needed to be. More weapons meant more models, more rigging, more animations, and more chances for the first and third person views to become inconsistent. The new system treats the third person character as the real character. Well, let's just say because it is. When I create a third-person animation, I'll also preview it through a first-person camera and adjust it until it works from both perspectives. The camera follows the character's head, but I've added controls to stop the animation from making the camera shake too much. So, instead of using a pair of floating arms that tries to copy the real player, you'll see the same body that actually exists in the game world. The body you see in first person is the body that everybody else sees in third person. That's the goal. One character, one weapon, and one animation for both perspectives. Of course, migrating isn't going to be easy. I'll need to reanimate every weapon in the game, and some of the existing character movements will need additional smoothing. I've also made major improvements to the spine inverse kinematic system. This allows the full body character to aim naturally and follow the camera much better. Most of the calculations run through Unity's burst system, so it should remain light enough for the number of characters the game needs to support. Weapon recoil and aim will now be mostly procedural. What that means is, when shooting, the gun motion will now be calculated rather than animated, and when aiming down sights, the character's weapon will be aligned to the camera. I will also need to improve the third-person character and weapon models. These assets were originally made to be viewed from third person. Now, they also need to hold up when they're only a few centimeters away from the first-person camera. The new system now uses a generic rig instead of the old humanoid setup. That gives me more direct control over the entire bone hierarchy. It also means that every weapon can have the bones it actually needs. Instead of forcing every weapon to use one universal rig, each weapon can have the correct moving parts. That includes things like bolts, charging handles, magazines, triggers, and any other mechanical components. Those parts can now be animated more accurately. It should also make weapon customization easier in the future, because each weapon is being built around its real, functional components. So far, I've completed the bare knuckle animations. The system is working, but this is still a very early stage of the migration. Some movements still need more smoothing, and every weapon will eventually need to be rebuilt around the new animation pipeline. Starting with the bare knuckle was important because they gave me a simple way to test the foundation of the system. I can test locomotion, camera movement, spine IK, and first-person body visibility without immediately dealing with complicated weapon rigs and alignment. Once all of that feels right, I can start migrating the actual weapons one by one. These changes will create a lot of work right now, but it should save me much more work in the future. New weapons will no longer need a completely separate first-person version. Animations should be more consistent between what the player sees and what everybody else sees. And third-person weapons will no longer be forced to reuse the same limited animation setup. Most importantly, I can put more time into creating one high-quality animation and use that animation across the entire game. I'm sure this system will introduce some new problems, like clipping and some camera motion issue. But even with those challenges, I think this is the better long-term direction for the game. Let me know what you think about the change in the comment section, and for the next video, which system would you like me to cover? Please like and share, and I'll see you all in the next video.